Okay, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's tutorial we're going to be talking about 3D printing, modeling using Fusion 360, and making cookie cutters. Cookie cutters are one of the things that I probably print the most of everything that I use my 3D printer for. It definitely gets the most use with cookie cutters. So not only am I using the cookie cutters for actually making cookies, but I also use the same cookie cutters for my ceramic work. And it doesn't matter, it's still a cutter. Whether I'm cutting cookie dough or I'm cutting clay, it still works exactly the same. If you watched my previous video with the making cookie cutters, I showed you how to use this little Fusion 360 add-in. This is from Sam's Cookie Cutter Maker. This is the Bella add-in, and it is, at least at the time I purchased it, it was $99. I don't know how much it is now. I'm not sure if prices have gone up or not, but that's what I paid for it at the time that I purchased. So anyway, not everybody has $100 or more for little add-ins, and maybe you're like me, you use your Fusion 360 as a free personal software because it's not for commercial use, and you really don't want to spend the extra money. So there is a way to build your cookie cutters just like you do with that Bella app, and I'm going to show you today how to do that. So if you want to see how that was done in the previous video, then I will link that at the end, and you can go back and see how the Bella app is used. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into it and not waste any more time. So I have my workspace set up, and we're going to do a really easy cookie cutter today. We're only going to do a circle, and I actually need a 3-inch circle, so that's what we're going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is come up here to the corner and grab my sketch tool, and then I'm going to just use this. I'm going to select this flat plane, and again it's going to be a circle, so I'm going to come up to the corner, find the little circle, and click on that once, and then I like to start in the middle. Not that you have to, but that's just me. So I'm going to click and drag, and as you can see, I have the millimeters are showing as, you know, the measurements, the diameter showing as I'm dragging this circle, and I have my software set up to default to millimeters. But this is a 3-inch circle. So rather than go and change the settings in my software, this is something that I really like about Fusion 360. So this way I don't have to do any calculations to find out exactly how many millimeters I need. I can just tell it I want a 3-inch circle. So I'm going to simply type 3, and then it has to be lowercase I-N, enter. Now I have a 3-inch circle. And let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, so I have the sketch for my 3-inch circle, and now I need to build my cookie cutter. Okay, so this is what my cookie cutter looks like whenever I print it. And I have 3 separate parts, that I need for my cookie cutter. So I need my cutter wall, and that's this section. Whoops. I'll try to do that without getting my finger in the way. So I have the first part, which is my cutter wall. I have the second part that is just part way up the wall, and that's kind of a support wall. And then I have the handle. So I don't want to have a little tiny thin handle. I like to have a little bit of a thick handle because it's comfortable to push into my clay or my cookie dough. So this is exactly what I'm going to do to build a manual cookie cutter that is very similar to this one that I use the Bella to model and print. We have our circle, and I need to do offsets. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with that cutter wall. And for this, it's going to be 1 millimeter. So I have not finished my sketch, so I want to stay active in the sketch menu, and I want to come up here to my offset panel, and I want to click on that. Now when the offset panel comes up, it tells me to sketch curves. This is really what I need to do. So I want to select that curve, and it defaults to 1 millimeter, as you can see here. And that's exactly what I want. I want it to be 1 millimeter. So if I wanted to change it, I could type it and this changes 3 millimeters, but 1 is all I need. So that's just the default here. And I'm gonna hit OK. So that is this first cutter wall. Now I want to do an offset for the support wall, which again is also going to be 1 millimeter. So I'm going to come back to my offset. I'm going to select that curve that I just did. Now, since I've offset it 1 millimeter, I need to go an additional millimeter. So if I put 1 millimeter, it's going to put it exactly where it already was. So we need to type in 2 millimeters. Whoops. So you can see I type 2 millimeters, and then I'm going to return. So there's my second offset. And then the very last one would be this handle. And for this handle, I like 5.5 millimeters. So I'm going to come back up here for the third time, click on my offset panel, and I'm going to select that circle again. And this time I want it to be 5.5 millimeters. So I'm going to change that to 5.5. I don't have to type mm at the end because it's defaulted to millimeters, but I mean, sometimes it's kind of habit. So anyway, 5.5 millimeters, and then I hit OK. So you can see we are ready to then start extruding, and that's all I have to do. All I needed was those 3 parts: cutter wall, support wall, and then the handle. So finish the sketch, and now we're ready to start extruding. So sometimes it's easier with this to kind of zoom in a little bit because I'm going to have to select this little area between. So come up here to my extrude and click on that. And then I'm going to select one little piece at a time. And I already have my measurements written down, so I know what I want. And I like the way that I like the size that the Bella gives me, so I kind of try to mimic this when I'm doing it manually. And for this, so I want this to be 23 millimeters, so it's just under 1 inch tall, but that's plenty of height for me. And then let me turn my sketches back on. So this right here, we have just built our cutter wall. Whoops. And now I need to do the support wall. So I'll come back up here to extrude, and I'm going to select that little part right there. And I don't want to go all the way up with this. As you can see, it doesn't go completely up. I want it to give a little bit of, you know, just the end is what's going to cut. The other one is only supporting. So for this one, I have it set for 17 millimeters, and that gives me a 6 millimeter cut. And you can see where we're going. All right, and then the last one is the handle, and the handle I have set at 5 millimeters. And I will show you about what that looks like. Now, the only thing left that Bella does that this didn't do is it also rounds the edges. So you can do that here. You can do them separately. You can do them the same. It doesn't make any difference. That's up to you. I kind of like the top one. You hit that little fillet. I kind of fillet. I really don't know which way you're supposed to say it, but I say fillet. Anyway, so I've selected that top round edge. You can see here what I'm talking about. This one, and then I'm going to go, I think 1.5. I don't like a real heavy, I don't like it real heavy. I don't like the curve real steep on this. And then on the bottom, to me, I feel like it just prints better if it's not super rounded. So I like a little bit of a round, but not a lot. So I'm also going to come back and do that fillet again, and then I'm going to grab this. I'm going to select the outer edge. Make sure you're selecting, you know, that outer edge. And this I'm going to change to 1 millimeter. I think that's enough. And that is what it looks like. So now we have just built our cookie cutter using our sketch panel with what we did was just a circle and adding 3 offsets to build this cookie cutter. So if you're wanting to make cookie cutters and you you prefer something like this, this is how easy it is. It's pretty quick, it's pretty easy, and once you get used to it, you can zoom right through it. So this is another option if you want to make these and you don't want to spend the extra money to purchase add-ons and things like that. So hopefully that answered any of your questions about how to manually make cookie cutters. And again, I will link the video for the Bella at the end of this video if you want to go back and see how you use that paid for add-in. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, comments, please leave them below.